Welcome to the Jaron Jarvis channel. I am Jaron Jarvis. Today, I would like to introduce to you, Hereditary / How I Cursed My Daughter Part 1. I've never thought that my life could fall apart this fast. My marriage is falling apart even faster. I might lose everything, including my own child. All over a dumbass mistake I made when I was 11 years old. If you're reading this, I beg you, please, don't play with haunted objects, let alone break them, because you never know what might be trapped in them. I found this out the hard way. Let me start from the beginning. It was the end of the summer. I was 11 and my friend Jason, his sister Andy, and I were having a sleepover. We set up the tent made out of brooms and a couch in their living room and watched old VHS tapes. We do this until their mom peeks in on us and tells us it's time for bed. Being the kids we are, we beg and plead to stay up a little long. She tells us no, but makes a compromise that we can sleep in our makeshift tents instead of going to our rooms. We all rush up the steps and grab our blankets and pillows. Andy grabs her small red lantern and we head downstairs. Crawling back into our tent, Andy turns the lantern on and places it in the middle of the three of us. "You guys want to know about that abandoned house Arson ever knew?" I remember her asking. She instantly piqued our interest. The house she was speaking of was the third or fourth biggest in the entire neighborhood and was littered with crackheads, shady people, and graffiti, and our parent advocated that we stay away from that house when playing around the neighborhood. Andy goes on telling us how some guy got murdered there long ago and how his skeleton is still there haunting the place and that we should go ghost hunting. Andy is a grade above us, so when she told us this we thought it was true because she's older than us and we were that naive. We made plans to let me stay another night so we could sneak over there tomorrow night. The next day, the evening arrives and it's almost time for us to go to bed. It was around 9:30 p.m. and all of us are gathered in Andy's room. As scheduled, her mom comes in and tells us to go to bed. Andy was already in her bed, but she was fully clothed and ready to leave when her mom goes to sleep. Jason and I were in our sleeping bags and fully clothed as well. I was practically shaking from excitement. We waited till 11:30 p.m. to get up. Grabbing several flashlights and a pocket knife, we head to the garage and grab bikes and sneak them into the living room. Opening the garage door would be way too loud, so we sneak to the front door and make it to the front yard with the bikes. I hop on the pegs of Jason's bike and we leave. Making our way down the road, I notice that there aren't too many street lights on, making the neighborhood darker than usual. It was almost unnaturally quiet. The pedaling of our bike were the only thing that could be heard. No more than 10 minutes later we arrive. The house sat at the very end of the street. It had this dingy white color and was covered in graffiti from top to bottom, and the windows on the first and second floor were boarded up, including the front door. Jason suggested that we make our way to the side of the house and jump the fence to get into the backyard. We leave our bikes at the side of the house and hop the fence. The backyard was dark, so we pulled out our flashlight to look around. The backyard was just as destroyed as the front. The pool water was black and the concrete was cracked, broken, and covered in graffiti. Looking at the back of the house, all the windows here except for one on the first floor were covered up. We walk up to it and peer inside. Jason flashed his light in and looks around. From what we could see, it was completely trashed, beer cans and needles everywhere. I thought the outside looked bad, the index was worse. There was so much graffiti that you could barely tell the wall was white. Andy pushed us out of the way and hops in first, then Jason, then me. When I stepped foot in there, I was practically pissing my pants from fear. We walked out of the room and down a short hallway into a large living room with high ceilings. The living room also had these sketchy-looking stairs that led to the second floor. The stairs had no guardrail and a bunch of steps were missing from the top. One wrong move and it's at least a 15-feet drop. Not seeing anything in the living room, we go up the stairs. I was being extra cautious because every step felt like it was on the verge of collapse. When we made it to the gap in the stairs, we realized that the jump to the second floor was possible, but one wrong move could screw us all. Andy, being the leader and guide that she is, makes the first leap and pulls herself up, almost falling in the process. I go next and get most of my body over, and Andy helps pull me up, and Jason gets over fairly easy as well. Once up, we all turn our flashlights toward the abyss that is this second floor and realize that it's a second living room, just smaller than the one downstairs. To the left there was a short hallway with about 4 or 5 rooms, and to the right was a room by itself. We decided to go the small hallway and check out the rooms. We went to the first 3 and found nothing but graffiti and trash. I found a hammer, so I picked it and took it with me for protection. We made our way to the last room. It had graffiti, but not like the other ones. This room had big black symbols on all 4 walls with an upside-down cross on the door. On the far left side of the room we found a closet. All 3 of us focused our flashlights on it. I dare you to go in there, Jason dared. I obviously said no, but Andy, being the ballsy person that she, opens the door. Following close behind, we watch as she goes into the closet and digs around for a bit. She pulls out what looks like a weird-looking jewelry box with wax all over it, sealing it closed. There were also strange markings on it. The box gave off an uneasy feeling, and to add to the creepiness of it, the box was completely warm, which was weird because the rest of the house was cold. Andy pulls out her pocket knife and starts cutting at the wax to see if she could open the box, but the box being kind of bit, it wasn't that easy. I suggested we use the hammer, and we did. We used the flat end of the hammer to pry it open. What we saw in the box was less than spectacular. When it opened, it had an odor so bad we almost vomited. The box contained hair, some teeth, dirt, and this black glass ball. It was kind of see-through, and it looked like there was something in there. Being the idiots that we are, we decide to smash it open. I take the hammer and hit it as hard as I could, and right when I did it, a shard of glass flew into my right eye. I fucking lost it. This wasn't a tiny piece of glass, this was pretty good-sized piece. I yell at the top of my lungs, holding my eye. Andy and Jason immediately grab me. They frantically try to move my hand so they can see my eye, but the pain was too much. I could feel the blood running from my eye down to my cheek. Pushing through the pain, I tried to calm down so we could get up and get the hell out of there. I stumble to my feet and wipe the tears from my eyes. The pain in my eye was so bad that I wanted to pass out. Opening my right eye was basically impossible. Andy takes me by the arm and leads me out of the room. Jason, who's walking ahead of us, suddenly stops us when we reach the end of the hall. Stop, do you hear that? He asks. We stop and listen for a second. It sounded like shuffling and footsteps. We carefully try to sneak into the living room, but we stop when we hear a loud thud to the left of us. It sounded like it came from the living room. We peeked around the corner, looking into the living room. We didn't see anything. That was until Jason shined his flashlight across the living room. When he slowly panned his light to the door across the living room, my heart fell out of my ass and I became sober to reality. Standing there in the doorway was a woman with brown hair wearing a grey gown. This woman had one eye and a slash going right across her face. The 3 of us lost our shit and screamed. The woman runs at us and we make a beeline for the stairs. Without hesitation, I full-on sprint and jump the gap at the top of the stairs. When I landed, rolled halfway down, fell off the staircase and landed flat on my chest. I immediately get up and regroup with my friends at the bottom of the stairs. We can hear the woman's fast footsteps moving down the stairs and we make a break for the hallway. I turn around to see that she's right behind us. I scream even louder. We bust a quick right and find the room with the open window and hop out. When we made it to the backyard, we turned our flashlights back again and didn't see her, but we don't stop running. We hop the fence and get on our bikes and leave. Jason was pedaling so fast that I was actually having trouble holding on. Not to mention it was a Herculean task not to grab my eye. When we made it back home, we threw the bikes over the fence into the backyard and quietly made our way into the house. We snuck back into Andy's room and closed the door and locked it. All of us out of breath, we sat there in silence. "Don't ever talk about what happened to anyone," Andy said. She looked like she was on the verge of having a heart attack. I could see the tears coming from her eyes. What we saw was real. This would be only the beginning to a long list of events that would happen leading up to my daughter's birth. I'll update you guys on the rest of the story soon. Stay safe.